Legislation. Can you remind us who is the current judge and how does that judge feel about the addition of another judge in Adams County?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Rep. Golonsky, for that question. Well, I would say for the majority of the community supports the bill. I think, it's important. I don't want to necessarily speak for other people. I think we're going to have the opportunity to take some proponent testimony next week, and so I think it would just be best to hear from those parties.
I will start with the thoughts of the current judge. The reason this question is void of response is because not one of the presenters or written supporters of this monumental modification ever reached out to inquire, observe, or research the current status of court operations. Unfortunately and disappointingly, State Representative Pizzulli has refused to speak with me, although requests nearing double digits have been made by me to the representative. Was a phone call from the Supreme Court of Ohio, a very helpful young lady. I believe her name was Denise. I didn't get her last name. And she said she had received a letter from Representative Pizzulli that we wanted a new judge, and I was very much in favor of this. And it was I listened patiently, and then I explained I did not know anything about it, had never been contacted, and I was not in favor of what she was telling me was the abolishment of my jurisdiction. I reached out immediately on that same day, within 10 minutes, to Representative Pizzulli repeatedly. I finally left a message saying, could someone send me a copy of this letter that you sent to the Supreme Court suggesting that you had somehow communicated with me, that you had gained knowledge of some documentation that I had provided this. And I got a letter from his legislative aide. I believe I can probably name her. And in that letter, it said, once again, we are so pleased that you are supporting our legislation. And I called her. Her name was Sydney Stone. She was a legislative aide. And I spoke to Sydney Stone. I asked again, Ms. Stone as well, several other calls following that, to speak with Representative Pizzulli. He is, although he's been to our county to have his picture taken at grandstand bonanzas and different events, he's never reached out to speak to me, to my disappointment.
Your testimony has been not just enlightening, but it has also pointed me to a very sad direction that, unfortunately, this committee has been misled. Continue. So how did it make you feel when you got a letter from an aide that said that thank you for supporting legislation that you knew you didn't support?
Well, it prompted an immediate call to ask where this information is coming from. So it was disheartening.
Well, I'd like to echo being completely disheartened. There is no reason in this legislative body for any legislator or aide or anyone else to lie or misconstrue any part of legislation. In fact, good ideas have supporters on all sides of the aisle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Judge. We've met before, haven't we?
It's been a while.
Yes, it has. And I used to serve Adams County as a U.S. representative in Washington. Is that correct, sir?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yes.
I believe your aide is still situated in Adams County, Ohio.
And,
Mr. Caraway, Stephen Caraway.
Chairman, follow up. When I was in Washington, a group of individuals came to me 12 years ago and talked about a need for another judge in Adams County. I'm not sure whether you were part of that discussion or not, but I had to remind them that it was the state legislature and not the federal legislature that could make that happen. I just want to correct the record when you say this came up in the dark of the night, because folks in Adams County have been talking for over a decade for the need for a second judgeship. I have no further questions.
I believe, if I may, Representative Schmidt came to Adams County last year, spoke at the Wayside Inn. It was published in the top half of the front page of the paper, and accused this court, this judge, of calling a female government employee a goat on the record and telling her that she had to eat grass. This preposterous story was floated top half front page. Correct?
Very good. Well, we'll address that later. Are there